Okay, it's going to be one of those days. Well, that's just fine. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm sorry, Jim. I can't do that. I'm having a visit from my friend. Is that what the girls used to say in school? Hey, teacher, I'm excused. My friend is visiting. Oh, okay. And the guys would try that. It didn't work quite the same way, did it? All right. Let's talk about TV. Brand new season of television. This is Super Talk 1270, online at supertalk1270.com. My name is Jim Walsh. You know who you are. And I definitely wanted to get away from the heavy stuff today. I actually put a post on Facebook on my personal account yesterday saying, what should we talk about on the show today? Since I've got a little time here, what should we talk about? I really don't want to waste any time with all this stupid crap about the NFL and Trump and the guys on money and the protest and the guys who are for the protest, the guys who are against the It's played out. Can we please move on? Everybody's talking about that. Let's not do that. I think Joel Heitkamp pretty much covered it as well as it can be covered over the last couple of days. He did a pretty good job, as he usually does. But I wanted to come up with something different to talk about. So somebody suggested we talk about the new TV season. And great. I got a whole list of some of the new shows and some of the shows that are coming back. I will offer my comments, and you are welcome to comment as well. What do you like about the new TV season? What have you seen that really disappoints you? I know this new Star Trek spinoff. It was on the other night. My wife and I watched it. We kind of liked it. But I've talked to a lot of people who don't. Star Trek is one of those things you're either into it or you're not. You know what I mean? And my wife and I kind of like, of course, my wife and I also kind of liked, what was the other show, the comedy with the guy from Family Guy? What's the name of it? Seth MacFarlane. The Orville, right, The Orville, which is kind of sort of a Star Trek parody, except it's not always a comedy. It's not always funny. And my wife and I watched that, and we just like shows like that. We like shows where things are flying through space and zapping each other. Any show with aliens or with nuclear bombs going off, I'm there. You know what I mean? And this show has a lot of aliens. It has a lot of stuff, lasers, pew, pew, going off. And even if the story is not much, we're into that. So we watched that. We watched the first Star Trek thing, Star Trek Discovery. And we got really pissed off because they told us that if we want to watch the rest of the season, you got to subscribe to the CBS thing. Which was their intention, of course. Their idea is that people will get attached to they get hooked on the pilot and they go, we got to subscribe. Well, in our case, it didn't work. We're not going to do that. We're not going to bother. Sooner or later, it'll wind up on YouTube anyway, where we can watch it for free. You know how that works. We live in an age where there is no such thing as must-see TV because everything that's on the tube, is going to show up somewhere at some point, and it's like a best-selling book that costs $40 at your local Barnes & Noble or your local family bookstore, whatever, and you just wait for it to come out in paperback, or you wait for it to be a couple of years old, and it'll wind up on the shelf of one of the used bookstores for like $1. Or you go to the library. There's a lot of options. But kind of figure we talk a little bit about TV, about the new TV season, have some fun with this. I've got a whole list here of the new and returning TV shows, and we're going to do kind of a stream of consciousness thing with this. Going to give you a chance to weigh in on things that have stood out for you. A number here is 663-1270. 663-1270. It's a show, basically, I'm just going to flip through this thing, and when I see a title that intrigues me, we'll talk about it. The Good Doctor. Now, this is from the people, I understand, who produced House. The show House, right? It's about a doctor. He's a genius. He's autistic. And right there, for me, a flag goes up. You're thinking, gimmicky. This is going to be gimmicky as all get out. It better not be one of those things where they just play on the gimmick of him being autistic and I realize when I say that, it's not a gimmick. It's a very tragic thing for the families who have to deal with this. But the point is, TV being TV, they grab something like this and they milk the concept. The stories are going to have to be good. They can't just rely on the novelty of the concept, is what I'm saying. Anyway, The Good Doctor, a young autistic, what they used to call an idiot savant. Now they say autistic savant. He's autistic. He has trouble. Is like the old Far Side cartoon of the kid going into the school for the gifted, and the door says push, and he's trying to pull on it, or the other way around. And, well, I go out, and the question I ask myself with all these TV shows is this something that I would go out of my way to watch? And for the most part, the answer is no. In this case, if I'm cruising along at some point and I catch it and I may like it, I may watch it, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to watch. Law and Order has a new. It's kind of a mini-series, true crime thing about the Menendez murders. They got Edie Falco, who is really good in The Sopranos. She has a prominent role in this. Dick Wolf, producer of Law and Order. By the way, I understand they're bringing back Sam Waterston in the other Law and Order show. What's the one that's still running? Special Victims. They're going to put him back in the show, apparently, which could mean a lot of things. It could mean they're running out of idea. Well, they did a long time ago. We'll talk about that in a minute. The Orville mentioned. I enjoy it. My wife and I enjoy it, but I can see where a lot of people look at it and go, no big deal. You know, I don't know which is worse. A show that's really awful, because if a show's really awful, you can kind of riff on it. You kind of do it like a Mystery Science Theater thing and just turn down the sound and make rude comments about it. But if a show is just blah, if it just doesn't have anything going for it one way or the other, what do you do with a show like that? You can't like it, you can't like hating it, and you can't do much of anything with it. We seem to have a lot of shows like that on the new fall schedule. A lot of shows that, not too many My Mother the Car type shows that are so bad they're good. We have a lot of shows that are just bleh. And bear in mind, television the last few years has been we've had some pretty damn good stuff with Mad Men and Breaking Bad and shows like that have come and gone. And there's a few really good shows out there. But to me, what's worse than really bad TV can be fun, but boring TV, there's a lot of that this year, and it's not good. So, I'm going to be talking about the new fall TV season. You are certainly welcome to weigh in. You saw anything that jumps out at you, makes you say, hey, people got to watch this. You got to watch this. Make sure it stays on the air, you know. Something like that. Let me know. 663-1270. Love to hear from you. Jim Walsh, Super Talk 1270, supertalk1270.com. There you go, Mr. Springsteen, in one of the great songs about television. Some of the others, Along Came Jones by the Coasters, and a longtime favorite of mine, Jefferson Airplane, Plastic Fantastic Lover. All about television, and of course now the internet, same kind of deal, you know. Can't tell you how many nights I sit up till 4 o'clock in the morning on my iPad just looking for something interesting on the internet. How you find new and different ways to waste your time thanks to modern technology. Talking about the new TV season, shows that stand out. So far, not many, a few. Now, if you'd like to weigh in, if you've seen anything that really pops out for you, something that really looks compelling, like you want to tell the world, hey, you got to watch this show. I'd like to hear about it. 663-1270, 663-1270. Trying to get away from the, all the heavy stuff today. I absolutely am not going to talk at all about the Trump thing with the football players and all that. I've heard a lot of talk about that, and with a handful of exceptions, it's been mostly about people in rednecks and people just arguing with each other about that. I don't want to get into that on this show. I'm so fed up with that kind of talk radio. Talk radio. You know, basically some old white geezer babysitting a bunch of other old white geezers. I want the show to be something different. So let's talk about TV. Let's talk about Rick and Morty. Greatest show ever. I love Rick and Morty. And it's back on again for a third season. And everybody should watch Rick and Morty. It's really trippy, man. Let's see here. Looking at some of the now, looking at some of the new shows or some of the old shows that are coming back. Curb Your Enthusiasm is coming back, of course. Fargo is an old show based on the movie that is coming back as well. I've heard good things about it. Again, I haven't really watched it that much. But there you go. My tastes are kind of weird. I have a very offbeat taste in television. Basically, my wife and I were science fiction people. Like I say, if it's got aliens and lasers and nuclear bombs going off in outer space and that kind of thing, I'm there, baby. Otherwise, maybe. Anyway, I mean, even stuff like not the Hunger Games, the Game of Thrones. Even the Game of Thrones, we don't have HBO. We never bothered with it. We are going as close to cordless as we possibly can, mostly for the money reasons. I have Netflix. Mostly I watch documentaries on Netflix. But there's just not a lot about television that I find strong and compelling. And I don't think I'm an old geezer. I don't think I'm an old fart. Game of Thrones, if I had it, maybe I'd watch it. Maybe I'd even like it. But I just never felt a compelling reason to watch it. Although it looks, if nothing else, it's obviously very different, as is Rick and Morty and Doctor Who and a couple of the other offbeat things we can talk about. How about The Americans? That's a good show. I've seen it a couple of times with Kerry Russell, these two, this American couple, except they're not American. They're Russian spies disguised as an American couple in the 1980s during the Cold War, the Reagan years. And they're just trying to get by as your average American family that's actually an average American communist family. Yes, my Fair Commie. That'd be a great title for the show. Who was talking about... an acquaintance of mine on Facebook was commenting on the Big Bang spinoff, Young Sheldon, which was on last night. And like everybody else on the planet, my wife, because it was on right after Big Bang, the season premiere, which is a show my wife and I enjoy, we have anyway, even though it's kind of a zombie show. You know what a zombie show is, right? It's a show that has pretty much outlived its usefulness. It's no longer strong or compelling or interesting or anything. It's just kind of there. And you turn it on because you're used to turning it on. You know what I mean? Like what The Simpsons has become over the years. Or Family Guy or some of those shows. A zombie show. It's a show that's really dead. It's not dead. The show's there, but artistically, creatively, it's dead. You're just watching it out of force of habit. Your muscle memory goes to the click. You go right to that channel and watch it, but there's really nothing to it. And it's definitely, Big Bang has definitely become that kind of a show. Yeah, it's pretty much played out. You know, how many jokes about Sheldon, the genius who, puts his underwear on backwards? How many variations of that joke can you do? Well, last night, they used it as a lead-in to this spinoff thing called Young Sheldon. And I think, like most people who watched it, if they watched it at all, they were the people who watched Big Bang because they still kind of like the show. And the Young Sheldon thing came right on after it, so they said, just leave it on, we'll watch whatever's on. And that's how we watched it. Now, I will say, Young Sheldon was better than I thought it would be. But even that's not saying much. It did have a different feel from the Big Bang. First of all, no laugh track, which I like. I like any show that aspires to be a comedy without a laugh track gets at least 1 star in my book. And it had more of a feel like that show American Family with the guy from Married with Children as the grandfather. He's great. Ed O'Neill, yeah. Good old Al Bundy. I love Al Bundy. But anyway, young Sheldon, basically, it's not really it's kind of a different concept from Big Bang. It's not a wacky comedy. It's not a zinger every 20 seconds or an attempted zinger. It's kind of like what you call a warm family comedy with dramatic elements. That being said, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to watch it. It was okay. It was not horrible. It didn't suck. It was just kind of, all right, well, maybe somebody will watch it. I won't. I like the shows that are really quirky, real different. Curb Your Enthusiasm, back again. That's one of the greatest things. It's one of the greatest characters ever on television. Just this totally horrible guy. And House. Well, House was another one. The House is not on anymore. Although, what's his name? The guy from House? Hugh Laurie. He's in a show. Again, it's one of those. Again, the sucky thing is it's on Hulu or one of those cable things and one of those internet things. And I can't get it because I don't subscribe to it. I subscribe to Netflix. There's a few interesting things on Netflix. But I don't get Hulu because, I got Netflix. I'm not going to subscribe to both. It's like the thing with the Star Trek Discovery the other night. They show you the pilot of the series, and then they say for the rest of the series you got to subscribe to CBS, yada yada yada. Well, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, I'm not that big a Star Trek fan, and I didn't see enough in the show to make me jump up and go, "Wow, we got to watch the rest of that." My wife just kind of looked at each other and went, "Oh, man, this sucks." We got to subscribe. Do you want to subscribe? Not really. Nah, me neither. That's kind of what television has become in this day and age. It's like, you want to watch this? Nah, not really. That is modern day television in a nutshell. 57 channels and not very much on. Thank you. Jim Walsh on Super Talk 1270, supertalk1270.com. More conversation, your calls coming up. What about energy drinks? Do you let your kids drink these energy drinks? And we'll talk about that in just a bit. Oh, wow. My TV mama, baby, with the big wide screen. Super Talk 1270, supertalk1270.com. Do you let your kids drink these energy drinks? I think like anything else, it's a matter of moderation. Oh, but the Canadian number here is 663-1270, 663-1270. The Canadian the Canadian, you Canadians, you have your British spellings for things like the Department of Labor is spelled Labour. If something is in color, it's COLOUR, and that's just so adorable. But the Canadian Pediatric Society. It's a weird spelling. It's like PAED and so on. The Canadian Pediatric Society has issued a position on energy drinks. It's about what you'd expect. You don't like it. It's not good, eh? Bad deal. The highly sugared caffeinated drinks are not safe for children. The caffeine is bad for them. The sugar is bad for them. The bottom line is the kids don't need it. Now, here's my question to you, Mr. and Mrs. Parent. America, Canada, wherever. Do you let your kid chug Monster or 5 Hour Energy or anything with extreme in the name? Now, I grew up drinking Coca-Cola, which we did not consider to be what today you would call an extreme drink, but it is certainly the forerunner of the energy drinks of today. It has sugar. It has caffeine. You drink one, you want another one. Gives you that little jolt, that little bit of a bounce. And even when you're a little kid, you drink that and you go, wow, that's pretty good. I want some more of that. Now, there was, fortunately, most of us have parents that were like my parents that said, okay, have a Coke. And I want another one. No, you're going to have the one. Just enjoy it, okay? And that's it. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Because you're a kid and you don't have no say in anything. And in this case, that's good. But what about your own kids? How do you handle the thing with the energy drinks? I don't think banning them is really necessary. Again, it comes down to the parent. The parent has got to be there for the kid, to guide the child. Moderation. None of this, I don't think this zero tolerance is, you don't need to do that. The parent basically knows where to draw the line. And most kids today, they do have they get introduced to caffeine early. Yeah, unless they're Mormons or something. And some parents, they are also the health, the heavy-duty health thing, and that's okay, I guess. It's up to you what you do with your family. But let the parent be the ultimate decision maker. You got to have the right to draw the line for your own kids. You know what's right, and you should do what's right. But I don't think we really need any government agencies to step in and tell us how to take care of our kids with these potentially unhealthy beverages. That being said, this came up a few years ago. I remember the show Honey Boo Boo. Remember when Honey Boo Boo was on a few years ago? And I watched it once just to see what it was about, and it was obviously. I'm hoping to God that what I saw was a deliberate exaggeration. You had this kid here and the mom with the extremely unhealthy eating habits. And by the way, I understand Mama June has lost a lot of weight over the last couple of years. She's lost like 200-300 pounds. And Honey Boo Boo would be what, about 10 years old now? 10 or 12 maybe? But I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, okay, there's Honey Boo Boo eating, frosting right out of the can, cake frosting and all this kind of stuff, and deep fried butter, that kind of stuff you get at the Minnesota State Fair every summer. The thing that got me, though, was the energy drinks. 5-year-old kid guzzling energy drinks like they were going out of style, like she had literally nothing else to drink. And all I could think was, this poor kid is going to need a kidney transplant before she gets out of high school. Assuming she does get out of high school. But remember, too, that's television. I find it hard to believe that anything on television is real, including Honey Boo Boo. I know that because, remember when Ozzy Osbourne had his TV show with his family? And the big thing was, they go around cussing on the whole show and the F word to each other. It's like, oh, Dad, I don't effing want to do this, and whatever. Well, it turned out, and nobody picked up on this, but I did, because I'm weird like that. I came across an article, the Osbourne's oldest daughter, who wanted nothing to do with the TV show, she was the one who actually spilled the beans and said, we're really not like that at home. We don't cuss every time you turn a corner. We don't drop F-bombs all day long to each other. That is something that they wanted us to do on the TV show to get attention. So I'm thinking that's probably the case with Honey Boo Boo. We know those Duck Dynasty guys don't really look like that. They don't really look like ZZ Top rejects. I mean, they're normal, regular people who grew beards and act funny and talk funny for the sake of television. And that's fine. As long as you understand it's television. Honey Boo Boo, my guess is that these people are probably kind of sort of normal in their own way. I would hope to God that Honey Boo Boo really does not drink 7 or 8 of these energy drinks a day. That would, or whatever she was drinking, guzzling them down. But what about your own kids? Where do you draw the line with your own kids? That's the question here. And by the way, speaking of beverages, speaking of beverages, and I know we touched upon this in the news about a week ago with all the hurricane activity going on. We had Hurricane Maria happening down in, of course, we know the whole thing about Puerto Rico. And I understand the president's going to Puerto Rico in a day or two. Well, that's fine. Well, we talked last week about how the hurricane is going to affect the orange crop. And about how a lot of Americans are drinking less orange juice these days. So, here's the thing. They're now saying that because of the hurricane, because of it affecting Florida and the Caribbean and the orange crop, the citrus crop, guess what? There's about to be a major price hike for orange juice. Now, my question to you is, do you really care? Or is it something you can live without? I used to be a serious orange juice drinker until about 5 years ago. I was diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, and the doctor said, stay away from the orange juice. It's loaded with carbs. It's way too carby. Just have it once in a great while and drink it very sparingly. Well, I'm one of these guys who used to, I come down to breakfast, or we go out for breakfast at Cracker Barrel or Perkins, wherever, and get a big, giant Jeroboam of orange juice. Just suck that baby right down. Love me some orange juice. And overnight, I stopped doing that. And, I thought I'd really miss it. I don't. It's just one less thing in your life. Okay. What about other drinks? There's a thing in economics called elasticity. And the question of how the change in the price affects the demand for something. Like the extreme example they give is gasoline. They could goose the price of gasoline by $1 a gallon overnight. People would still buy gasoline because you need gasoline. Obviously, your day-to-day life in America, you need that gasoline. And they talk about the elasticity. There are other items at the other extreme. You see a lot of this in the agriculture industry where the prices are more or less fixed by the market, and if you deviate ever so slightly, you're going to be out of business. That's the other extreme. Well, here's the question. What drinks would you buy at any price? Coffee, I'm guessing, for a lot of people. I'd probably learn to live on a lot less coffee if it were really, really super expensive. But, yeah, I'd probably still get it. Orange juice, not so much. And it kind of ties in. When you think about it, it ties right in with the energy drinks and the stuff you're giving yourself, your family, your kids. How expensive would it have to be for you to stop using it? Because, the government likes to do that with certain things. They're trying it with cigarettes in New York and certain parts of the country. They're just trying to make it so ridiculously expensive that nobody wants to buy it anymore, which I think is stupid. Again, as the government, we can't trust you to make your own decisions, so we're going to make it hard for you. We're going to help you make the right decision. By the way, did you see where that Congressman Weiner got 21 months in jail for texting that kid in North Carolina with his business there, his junk? He sexted her. And he got 21. Now, here was a guy who could have been, he was a congressman, United States congressman from New York. Apparently, this guy was on the fast track. He could have been like a vice presidential contender in the Democratic Party. He was on the fast track to be the next mayor of New York. And in my opinion, would have been vastly preferable to this crazy-ass left-wing goober that they actually got, this de Blasio. But because Mr. Weiner couldn't control his urges with his wiener, sorry, had to say it. What is it with some people? I mean, it's so simple. It's so easy not to screw up your life with something like this, but I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, mentioning that, it kind of ties in with, everything ties in together. It's holistic, man. It's like it all kind of comes together in one, like, big cosmic rush. You know what I mean? I think you do. Anyway. So, what do you think of your kids and orange juice and the energy drinks? Where do you draw the line? Or is it like a zero tolerance thing? I'll talk about it here. 663-1270, Jim Walsh on Super Talk 1270 and supertalk1270.com. One of the granddaddies, Big Joe Turner out of Kansas City. The man who gave us the original Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Also Flip, Flop, and Fly. Don't care if I die. as the TV Mama song there is. Super Talk 1270. Supertalk1270.com. By the way, we do have a poll going about the whole thing with the NFL players taking the knee, so to speak, and whatever side you're on with that. It's a poll. It's on the website. I encourage you to check it out for yourself and, click one way or the other. Check out the poll and all the other great stories going on at supertalk1270.com. Some good things happening. All right. This is a story. This came out of New Jersey, but it's one of those stories that could apply to anywhere. It's about people who get caught in disasters after they're warned not to do something, and they do it anyway, and they get in trouble, and the state or the National Guard, whoever, they have to send out somebody to rescue their ass. And everybody goes, well, some people are stupid. Well, here's just the very latest example of it. It happened in Belmar, New Jersey. The police told people not to go into the ocean to swim because of Hurricane Maria. After it plowed into Puerto Rico, it kind of made a right turn and started heading up the eastern seaboard. North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, and New Jersey, they all kind of got a piece of it there. And even if you don't get a direct hit with a hurricane, you can get a lot of wind and rain, and the ocean can be chopped up pretty well. And the police in this one town in New Jersey, they told everybody, don't go in the ocean because the rip currents, the dangerous currents caused by the hurricane. And I think you know where this is going, right? The people went in anyway. 36 swimmers, close to 36, needed to be rescued because people are stupid, basically. Now, it happens here, too. Couple of times a year, you get a story, and you listen to the morning news, which I record most of the time, and a couple of times a year, I get a story, which I report about some yo-yo skier out in Montana somewhere, usually, or Wyoming or nearby, who is skiing in a place where they shouldn't be skiing because it's an area prone to avalanches or whatever. And everybody says, don't go skiing in this area. But this clown, he's got to go skiing in the area, and he gets in trouble. And what do? They send in their guys to rescue this clown. Now, you tell people not to do something. You'd think it would be a common sense thing, but some people just take it as a challenge. More and more, I think, you know what? Get yourself in trouble like that, you're on your own. Get yourself out of it. Dennis Miller had a great line about that. He said, these guys, the men and women of the National Guard and these other rescue organizations, they do their job and they do it well. And they're putting their lives on the line to rescue these idiots who defy all the warnings and everything and go out and do what they do. Coast Guard, that's another great group of people. And more, you just want to say, you know what, guys, don't bother with this guy. Just, kind of fly by in the helicopter and say, hey, Chuck Darwin sends his regards. Calling that herd, baby. Woo, let's go get a beer. All right. Meet you at the officers club or whatever. More and more, I'm becoming one of those people. Just, people want to defy the rules. They want to take their risks. Let them take their risks and let them live or die with the consequences. But, of course, we can't do that because that would be, unthinkable. Well, that's ridiculous. Nearly 30-some people defied the warning not to go in the water. Not to go in the water when there's a hurricane off the coast. They went in the water anyway. And by the way, you know who you see doing a lot of this is surfers, because the surfers, they love the rough surf. But these people apparently were not even surfers. They were just regular bozos who wanted to go to the beach and thrash around in the water while all the wind was blowing. Like, hey man, look at me, I'm swimming in a hurricane. And the next thing you know, they're drowning in the hurricane. Help me, somebody rescue me. And, of course, the National Guard and the Coast Guard, they come in and put their lives on the line, rescuing these idiots. And the only reason they have to do it is because, these idiots, they have idiot relatives who will, go to the voting booths and, well, they wouldn't rescue my stupid cousin, so I'm going to vote this guy out of office because he won't, And the politicians, and they have to pressure these people, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, the mayor of this town expressing frustration that the parents were still allowing their children to enter the water amid the dangerous conditions. Like, consenting adults is one thing, but now shouldn't that be a criminal offense to let your kids swim in hurricane water? If the government deems it necessary to tell people to stay out of the water and you put your kids in the water, I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying too hard to make sense of the world. Figure. 663-1270. Your comments welcome. 663-1270. Oh, boy. Here's a story about life in Walmart bathrooms. I've talked about Walmart before. I'm not a Walmart person. It has nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with politics or economics. I just don't care for the place. And my wife goes there all the time, and I have to go along with her, It's like the old joke. If she wants to go to Walmart and I want to go to anywhere but Walmart, like Target, we compromise and we go to Walmart. Well, here's a story about a lady who, and this is kind of sad, but it isn't in a way. The Walmart bathroom, is there any sadder place on earth than the bathroom at Walmart? Well, okay, the bathroom at Kmart, but aside from that. The police came out. Where did this happen? Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, kind of a cool place. But anyway, Myrtle Beach, somebody called the police, and they came out. The management told the police that there was a woman had gone into a stall in the bathroom at Walmart, and she was in there for 6 hours. Now, dear listener, you may asking yourself, well, self, what was she doing in there? Well, I'll give you a hint. When they brought her out of the stall, well, it might have something to do with the heroin that fell out of her shirt pocket. Just saying it might have. Maybe not. You never know. I'm out of here. Your comments welcome, always, of course. Check out that poll about the football players taking the knee. It's on the website, supertalk1270.com. Your comments welcome there as well, all about the show or whatever you want to talk about. Love to hear from you. Jim Walsh on Supertalk 1270, supertalk1270.com. I'm out of here.